very talented. He's in his prime, obviously. He's facing a guy who knows how to use his distance and throws hard punches, combinations. He has the will to win. I mean, this is going to be a great fight. I don't know who's going to win. Tough to call, but you might have to give the edge to Boots just because he's on. No, it's sad that it had to happen this way, and I blame everything on Rick Meridian, the manager. It's just sad because now Verge Ortiz is going to be sidelined while all these champions are going to be facing each other. You got Fundora and the other kid who just won, Josh Kelly, I believe it was. Maybe they might be fighting as well, and then the winners will fight each other, and Ortiz is going to be less.
Great fight made in the 154-pound division. Xander Zayas versus Boots Ennis. This is more like it. This is what we want to see.
This is a phenomenal fight, and they're both in their primes. Xander Zayas, 23 years old. He turned pro when he was 17, and he's a unified world champion. Going in there against Boots Ennis, who he's only had one fight against the guy who was, 14-1? Got rid of him in a round. So he's completely, I don't care, like, what Eddie Hearn was saying. That guy was untested. So he's completely untested at 154 pounds in there against one of the best champions in the division. Mate, that fight is going to be electric. Puerto Rico in Brooklyn on June 27th. That is going to be phenomenal, the atmosphere in Barclays.
Whoever brought these principles together is like old school. This is a really, really good fight. It's an old school fight. Champion against champion. And it's going to be a tough affair. Honestly, my heart is always with Boots. And that's a fight that's been made, so I'm gonna have to side.
Man, the division looking good right now, and I just want to see all the fighters fight each other, man. The best need to fight the best. That's what's gonna bring the fans to boxing, and you can only be great by beating somebody great. You know what I'm saying? You can have a bunch of wins with no great win. You're just a good fighter, but you want to be great, you need to beat another great fighter. So they got the opportunity.
The boxing world is split right now as a highly anticipated junior middleweight clash builds serious tension. A rising star is about to face a dangerous, experienced destroyer, and fans can't agree on what this fight really means. Some are calling it a passing of the torch moment, while others believe it's too early and too risky for the young contender. The debate isn't just about who wins, it's about whether this matchup should have been made at this stage of their careers.
It is. On the one hand, Xander and all that. On the other hand, my brother out of Philly.
I know.
You talk about it all the time.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I will not have my hard-earned money in this bet. I can't do it. But it's gonna be a good fight. I don't know who wins this. I think I would have to, if I had to pick, I would give Boots the edge. All right, guy that's a little twitchier, a little more athletic, hits hard, switch hitter, and then Xander's really, really good, right? Talk about a guy that has improved from a young guy to where he is now. Right, he's not scared, can box with the best, he can move, he can punch, got good defense. So it's gonna be a tough fight.
Gabe, on the one hand, Boots has just looked more special athletically to me than Xander throughout their careers, right? Sure. On the other hand, when you said Xander got better, Xander was so precocious. He was such a young fighter when we first saw him. Sure. And you don't have your man bones yet as a boxer. Now he's into his 20s, maybe a different fighter. What do you think of the matchup?
No, absolutely. I think in his last performance in Puerto Rico, he showed that boxing ability. Nice jab, nice movement, good stamina, endurance. And he's a big dude, man. I went for a jog with him in Puerto Rico. I'm like, how big are you, dude? He walks like 190, man. Right. He's a solid big guy. So he's bringing that weight and that size as well into that fight.
Oscar De La Hoya shared his honest breakdown of the matchup, explaining how dangerous it is for a fighter to face someone in peak form. While praising rising talent in the division, he pointed toward the upcoming June showdown and leaned slightly toward the more experienced fighter. According to him, a boxer on a dominant run with strong momentum is extremely hard to slow down. In his view, this is not just a skill test, it's a high-pressure situation where experience and timing could decide everything.
Just got to ask about the big one in June. Obviously, it was almost going to be Ennis and Ortiz. Instead, and now it's Zayas and Ennis.
Correct.
How do you see that fight going?
Yeah, I think it's a great, stylistically, it's a great matchup. I think Boots is very, very talented. He's in his prime, obviously. He's facing a guy who knows how to use his distance and throws hard punches, combinations. He has the will to win. I mean, this is going to be a great fight. I don't know who's going to win. tough to call, but you might have to give the edge to Boots just because he's on a roll, with his past opponents, the way he's been handling them stylistically. I think I would have to give a little edge, but
Concerns are also being echoed by top names in boxing like Terence Crawford and Abner Mares, who believe the fight may be arriving too early for the younger challenger. Their main concern isn't talent or confidence, but timing and experience. At this level, raw skill alone can struggle against a fighter who has already been tested in high-pressure, championship environments.
And that's a tough fight, especially for Xander at this point in his career. But it shows his heart and his confidence, that he have in himself, and he's ready to go make history for his country, and he's gonna do real well in that fight. I just think, right now, is a little bit too early.
Abner Mares even compared the situation to boxing history, referencing a young Fernando Vargas who took on Felix Trinidad too early in his career and suffered a career-altering defeat. It's a reminder of how one major fight can completely change a fighter's path.
Okay. With that said, let's talk about the outside fighters. As I stated, it's very much rumored and more than likely possibly happening. Xander versus Boots. How do you see that fight going? Do you think maybe Xander's a little bit too young there?
Too soon.
Too soon. You think
Too
it's too
soon,
soon?
brother. Yeah, I love Sanders, and if he waits and if he's smart and his team is smart, they'll hold on at least 2 more fights, and then release him to the wolves. And that's, I'm just speaking realistic in how I see it, because I wouldn't want him to lose a really hard fight and him just declining. You get me? And it happens. We've seen it with fighters where it's too soon of a fight. I mean, let's not go far. I mean, I hate to use him as an example, but when Vargas fought Trinidad, it was too soon, brother. And you gotta be patient with your fighters, and I think they have to be patient with Xander Zayas. Not that I'm saying that he can't win. Maybe he can, but maybe he's gonna get hit too much or injured himself. You get me? So wait a little bit for Xander Zayas.
Veteran voices are warning that rushing a prospect into a dangerous matchup for hype or money can come with long-term consequences. A tough loss at the wrong time doesn't just affect rankings, it can impact confidence, development, and future opportunities inside the sport.
What do you think? You think he could beat Boots Ennis?
Well, if anybody can beat him, but that's a hell of a task he's taking on at an early age too. You know what I mean? So I would have liked to see him wait just a little bit longer, get a couple more fights in. But sometime when the money calls, the fight has to happen. The money calls, the fight got to happen. So it's what it is.
Jaron Ennis, Tim Bradley, fellow Hall of Famer like you, breaks down the fights like you. He said that Jaron relies on his athleticism too much, and he got holes in his game Xander can exploit. That was something they tried to say, about you when you were doing your thing. Roy, do you see that with Jaron, or that's not the case?
I don't see it with Jaron. I see Jaron as being a guy that's actually knows what he's doing and knows how to fight. Has talent too, but knows how to use his talent. Therefore, it's nothing to break down. And I think they'll find that out come this next fight.
Does he remind you of yourself at all?
A lot.
How so?
Well, he got so many things he can do. He know how to change things up on the spot. When you can be able to adapt and change up on the spot, that's what you don't find in most fighters nowadays. You don't find guys that this ain't working, they can go do that. If that ain't working, they can go do that. You know what I'm saying? That was the one good thing about Bud Crawford. If this don't work, he can change right hand or left hand and try or right hand and try it another way. If this don't work, he can go back another way and try it again. So he had options. Most fighters today don't have options.
From a technical point of view, analysts like Tim Bradley have pointed out key concerns that could play a major role in the fight. One issue is the weight cut to 154 pounds, which may drain the fighter's energy in the later rounds. As the fight goes deeper, fatigue could become a serious factor, potentially leading to defensive mistakes under pressure.